The Level 1 Detective. Chapter 7. The Man Behind the Screen. The transition from the digital void to the meat space of Neo-Seoul was not a gentle awakening. It was a crash landing. Ren gasped, his lungs convulsing as they inhaled the stagnant, ozone-heavy air of the arcade server room. The smell of burning silicon and overheated plastic assaulted his nose, a sharp, toxic contrast to the sterile nothingness of the white void. He ripped the VR helmet off his head, throwing it onto the concrete floor. It clattered loudly, a physical sound that rang in his ears, grounding him. He was back. Ren rolled out of the dive chair, his muscles seizing up. His body felt heavy, clumsy, and painfully slow. In Elysium he had been V1, agile, durable, a breaker of physics. Here he was just Ren, a middle-aged detective with a bad knee and a liver that hated him. Jamie? Ren croaked, his throat dry. In the corner of the room, the complex rig housing Glitch_Kid was sparking. The monitors were black, displaying a single, blinking prompt. Connection terminated. Jamie was thrashing against his restraints. His thin, atrophied legs kicked spasmodically, a neurological aftershock of the forced ejection. His eyes were rolled back, seeing code that wasn't there. Ren dragged himself across the floor. He ignored the pain in his ankle. He reached the wheelchair and fumbled with the magnetic locks. Easy, kid. Easy. I've got you. He unlocked the chest strap. Jamie arched his back, sucking in a massive, ragged breath. His eyes snapped open. They were wide, terrified, and heartbreakingly young. He looked around the dark, cluttered room, his gaze darting from the smoking server racks to his own unmoving legs. My hands, Jamie whispered, holding them up. They were pale, trembling, and weak. They feel heavy. That's gravity, Jamie, Ren said softly, resting a hand on the boy's shoulder. It's the one rule we can't break. Jamie looked at Ren. We did it? The server? It's gone? We wiped it, Ren confirmed. The architect is offline. The 1.4 million, they're gone. Jamie slumped back in his chair, tears cutting tracks through the grime on his face. I feel empty. In there I was a hero. I killed a dragon. Out here, I can't even get a glass of water. In there you were a file, Ren said, his voice firm but kind. Out here you're the guy who just took down a trillion-credit corporation with a keyboard. That makes you more than a hero, kid. It makes you dangerous. Boom. The sound came from the front of the arcade. The heavy metal shutter door shook violently. Then came the sound of breaking glass. Ren's instincts, honed not by game mechanics, but by 10 years on the gritty streets of the lower ward, kicked in instantly. They're here, Ren said. He didn't need a HUD to identify the threat. Omni Corporation. The cleanup crew. They found us. Jamie's eyes widened in panic. But I bounced the signal through 3 proxy nodes. They didn't track the signal, Ren said, moving to the door of the server room and cracking it open a sliver. They tracked the power surge. Crashing a server farm takes a lot of juice. We lit up the grid like a flare. Ren looked out into the main arcade floor. The neon lights of the game cabinets were flickering. Through the front window, he saw the silhouette of an armored transport parked in the rain. Figures were moving toward the entrance. They weren't police. They were corporate security, mercenaries in matte black tactical gear, carrying suppressed submachine guns. They moved with professional, lethal silence. 5 bogeys, Ren whispered, his mind slipping into tactical mode. Breaching formation. They aren't here to arrest us, Jamie. They're here to sanitize the site. We need a weapon, Jamie said, reaching for a keyboard. I can try to hack their comms. No time, Ren said. And no internet. They've likely jammed the local frequencies. We have to do this analog. Ren looked around the server room. It was a dead end. No back exit. Just the door to the arcade. Okay, Ren muttered. Level 1 strategy. Use the environment. He looked at Jamie. Kid, can you override the voltage regulators on these arcade cabinets? Turn off the limiters? I built a custom BIOS for the shop. Yes. I can redline every machine in the building. Why? Because, Ren smiled, a grim, dangerous expression. Arcade machines use CRT monitors. High-voltage capacitors. If you overload them, they explode, Jamie finished, a spark of his glitch persona returning. Flashbangs. Dozens of them. Do it. Set them to trigger on my signal. Ren grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall. It was heavy, red, and real. A blunt instrument. Hide behind the server rack, Ren ordered. Stay low. Cover your ears. Jamie typed furiously on his localized console. Command, Overclock. Ready? Jamie whispered. Ren kicked the door open. He stepped out into the main arcade floor. The mercenaries were sweeping the room, their laser sights cutting through the gloom. Clear left, one voice crackled. Clear right. Thermal signature in the back room. They saw Ren. 5 red dots converged on his chest. Freeze! The lead mercenary barked. Omni security. Hands. Ren stood in the center of the aisle, flanked by rows of retro games, Street Fighter, Pac-Man, Time Crisis. The machines were humming loudly, a rising whine of electrical stress. You guys want to play a game? Ren asked, his voice calm. Target acquired, the lead merc said. Take the shot. Now. Ren shouted. Jamie hit enter. System, surge. 50 arcade machines detonated simultaneously. Crack boom. It wasn't a lethal explosion, but it was a blinding, deafening storm of sparks, glass, and smoke. The CRT monitors blew out, showering the mercenaries in electrified debris. The air filled with ozone and the smell of burning plastic. The mercenaries screamed, blinded by the sudden flash and disoriented by the noise. Removed. He didn't have stats. He didn't have skills. He had momentum. He charged through the smoke. He swung the fire extinguisher. Clang. He hit the lead mercenary in the helmet. The man went down, his rifle skittering across the floor. Ren didn't stop to fight. He kept running, weaving through the smoking cabinets. Suppressive fire, someone yelled blindly. Bullets tore through the air, shattering the remaining glass of the game cabinets. Sparks rained down like digital blood. Ren reached the power main on the far wall. A heavy industrial lever. He yanked it down. Total darkness. The arcade went black. The only light came from the muzzle flashes of the mercenaries firing in panic at shadows. Ren dropped to the floor, crawling back toward the server room. He knew the layout. He knew where the floorboards squeaked. He slipped back inside the server room and locked the steel door. Did we get them? Jamie asked from the dark. We bought maybe 2 minutes, Ren said, grabbing the handles of Jamie's wheelchair. They have thermal goggles. Once they reboot their optics, we're dead. So we're trapped. No, Ren said. We're pivoting. He pushed Jamie toward a loose panel in the floor, hidden under a rug. You said you modified this place, Ren said. You told me you ran extra cooling ducts for the servers because the building's AC couldn't handle it. Yeah. The ducts run under the floor. Where do they vent? The alleyway behind the pawn shop. Ren ripped the floor panel up. A cramped, metal tunnel waited below. It's going to be tight, Ren said. And dirty. Can you crawl? Jamie looked at his legs. I can drag myself. Then drag, Ren said. I'll pull the chair. They descended into the crawl space just as the mercenaries blew the hinges off the server room door. 5 minutes later, they emerged into the alleyway rain. They were covered in dust and grease. Jamie was shivering, his teeth chattering uncontrollably. Ren collapsed the wheelchair, thankfully a lightweight model, and set it up. He lifted Jamie into it. We're out, Ren said, checking the street. It was empty. The transport was parked out front. The mercs were still inside. Where do we go? Jamie asked. My house is burned. Your office is burned. We have nowhere. Ren looked up at the skyline of Neo-Seoul. The Omni Corp tower dominated the city, a needle of black glass piercing the clouds. We have one place, Ren said. He reached into his pocket. He pulled out the iron token. It wasn't just a game item. He had realized that when he woke up with it. It was a physical keycard. A magnetic pass. Ren turned the token over. The inscription, the Black Citadel, was gone. It had been replaced by a set of coordinates and a room number. Coord, 37.5665 degrees north, 126.9780 degrees east. Room, penthouse, server farm alpha. The architect, Ren said. He invited us. Invited us? Jamie looked at the token. He tried to kill us. In the game, yes, Ren said, his detective mind piecing together the profile. But the architect isn't an AI. He's a man. A man who thinks he's a savior. He tried to recruit me in the cloud room. He wants validation. He wants someone to understand his great work. Ren looked at the tower. He knows we deleted his digital world. So now he's retreating to his physical fortress. He's going to try to execute the backup plan. What backup plan? If he can't upload the mines to the server, Ren said grimly, he's going to download the server into the real world. He's going to rewrite reality. Ren started pushing the wheelchair down the wet alley. Who is he, Ren? Do you know? I have a theory, Ren said. The game Elysium, it was built on the source code of an older project. A failed military simulation called Project Acheron. The lead developer vanished 10 years ago. Everyone thought he died. Dr. Valerius Thorne, Jamie whispered. The father of neural physics. Thorne had a son, Ren continued. A son who died in a car accident. A son he couldn't save. That's why he built Wonderland. That's why he collects children. Ren stopped at the end of the alley. He hailed a robotic taxi, hacking the door lock with a multi-tool before the AI could object. He lifted Jamie inside. We're going to Omni Tower, Ren said to the taxi's automated system. Destination, Omni Tower. Payment required. Ren jammed his police override chip, a souvenir from his old life, into the slot. Payment overridden. Emergency protocol. The taxi surged forward, merging into the traffic of the Skyline Highway. Ren looked out the window. The rain blurred the neon lights into streaks of blood and gold. We're going to the top level, Ren said. No more avatars. No more respawns. Just flesh and blood. And a rusty knife? Jamie asked, trying to smile. And a rusty detective, Ren replied. He looked at the iron token one last time. It's time to meet the maker. Omni Tower was not a building. It was a monolith of black glass that drank the city's light. Standing in the lobby, Ren felt the same oppressive weight he had felt in the Black Citadel. The architecture was identical, vast, vaulted ceilings, cold geometric lines, and a silence that felt manufactured. It's a Reskin, Ren whispered, his eyes scanning the empty reception desk. He built the game to look like his home. Or he built his home to look like the game. Jamie sat in his wheelchair, shivering despite the climate-controlled air. He had his laptop, a brick of a machine salvaged from the arcade, balanced on his knees, plugged into a service port in the wall. The building is in lockdown mode, Jamie said, his fingers flying across the keys. But it's strange. The security grid isn't responding to external hacks. It's hardwired. Analog. He's expecting us, Ren said. He checked his revolver, a heavy, kinetic slug thrower he had taken from the mercenary in the arcade. 6 shots. No reloads. Level 1 loadout, Ren muttered. They moved toward the elevator banks. The lobby was deserted. No guards. No receptionists. Just the cleaning drones buzzing silently across the floor like beetles. The elevator needs a keycard, Jamie said. Biometric encryption. I can't bypass it without a sample. Ren pulled out the iron token. We have the sample, Ren said. The architect invited us. This isn't a break-in kit. It's a raid instance. Ren swiped the heavy iron coin across the sensor pad. Beep. The light turned green. Welcome, guest _01. The elevator doors slid open. They entered. It was a glass capsule, offering a panoramic view of Neo-Seoul as it rose. Penthouse, Ren commanded the voice interface. The elevator surged upward. Ren watched the city shrink below them. The rain blurred the neon lights into streaks of watercolor. He saw the smoke rising from District 4. He saw the police drones circling his burning office. Ren, Jamie said softly. If we stop him, what happens to the people who are already uploaded? The ones in the carousel? They're gone, Jamie, Ren said, not looking away from the window. We pulled the plug. The data dissipated. So we killed them. We let them die, Ren corrected. There's a difference. Keeping them in a loop isn't saving them. It's taxidermy. Jamie looked down at his paralyzed legs. I like the loop, he whispered. I could run. Ren knelt beside the wheelchair. He looked Jamie in the eye. You're running right now, Ren said. You're charging into the heart of the enemy stronghold with a rusty detective and a laptop. That takes more guts than any avatar. Ding. The elevator stopped. But not at the penthouse. Floor 90, security and containment. The lights in the elevator turned red. We didn't press this floor, Jamie said, panic rising in his voice. It's a scripted event. Ren stood up, raising the gun. The mid-boss. The doors opened. They weren't looking at a hallway. They were looking at a kill box. A long, narrow corridor lined with server racks. And standing at the far end, blocking the next elevator, was a machine. It wasn't a sleek android. It was an industrial loader mech retrofitted for war. Heavy yellow plating, hydraulic arms designed to crush concrete, and a Gatling nail gun mounted on its shoulder. Sitting in the open cockpit was a man. He was bald, scarred, and wore the uniform of Omni Corp's head of security. Mr. Ren, the man boomed, his voice amplified. Dr. Thorne sends his regards. He says you're not leveled up enough for this zone. Enemy detected. Chief Bronson, LVL? Ren hallucinated the HUD tag for a split second. The bleeding effect was getting stronger. He blinked it away. Bronson, Ren shouted back. I thought you were in jail for police brutality. Private sector pays better. Bronson laughed. He racked the slide of the nail gun. And the benefits include killing pests like you. Jamie, Ren whispered. Get behind the server rack. Now. Jamie wheeled himself into the alcove just as Bronson opened fire. THWIP. 3-inch steel nails tore through the air, embedding themselves in the elevator walls. Sparks flew. Ren duffed. He rolled behind a metal desk, glass shattering above his head. He's got heavy armor, Ren yelled. My gun won't scratch that mech. I can't hack it. Jamie shouted from his cover. It's manual control. No wireless signal. Ren looked at the environment. It was a server cooling floor. Pipes ran along the ceiling. Large tanks of liquid nitrogen stood near the walls. Game logic. Ice element is effective against machines. Real-world logic. Thermal shock shatters heated metal. Same thing, Ren gritted his teeth. Bronson. Ren taunted, popping up to fire a shot. The bullet sparked harmlessly off the mech's roll cage. Is that all you got? You aim like a stormtrooper. I'll show you aim. Bronson roared. He stomped the mech forward. The floor shook. The mech was slow, cumbersome. But in this narrow hallway it was a tank. Ren ran. He didn't run away, he ran parallel to the wall, drawing Bronson's fire. Nails shredded the drywall, exposing the pipes underneath. Ren spotted the fire suppression system. A massive red pipe running directly over the center of the room. Jamie? Ren shouted. The sprinklers. Trigger the alarm. I need a connection point. There. Ren pointed to a fire alarm box on the wall near Jamie. Jamie extended a cable from his laptop. He plugged into the box. Hacking. Jamie muttered. Got it. System override. Water didn't spray. Instead, the halon gas system engaged. White, freezing gas hissed from the ceiling vents, flooding the corridor. Bronson laughed. Gas? I have a rebreather, idiot. It's not for you, Ren whispered. It's for the engine. The halon gas was cold. Extremely cold. It lowered the ambient temperature of the room instantly. The mech's hydraulic pistons, hot from the exertion of firing and moving, began to steam. Temperature drop detected, Bronson's machine warned. Now. Ren broke cover. He sprinted toward one of the liquid nitrogen cooling tanks used for the servers. It was a heavy cylinder standing right next to the mech's path. Ren didn't shoot the mech. He shot the valve of the tank. Bang. The valve blew. A jet of liquid nitrogen at -200°C erupted outward. It hit the mech's leg. The heated metal of the hydraulic joint met the freezing liquid. Crack. Thermal shock. The metal screamed as it contracted instantly. The molecular bonds shattered. The mech's leg snapped under its own weight. Bronson screamed as the machine toppled sideways, crashing into the server racks. The impact bent the roll cage, trapping him inside. The nail gun fired wildly into the ceiling, then clicked empty. Ren walked through the freezing mist. He looked like a wraith, his coat flapping in the venting gas. He stepped up to the fallen mech. Bronson was struggling, pinned by the wreckage. Game mechanics, Ren said, looking down at him. Elemental combo. Fire plus ice equals break. You're insane, Bronson gasped. I'm a vagrant, Ren said. We make do. He grabbed Bronson's belt. He took the security keycard hanging there. Thanks for the loot drop. Ren walked back to Jamie. The boy was shivering, his laptop screen glowing blue in the fog. You okay? Ren asked. That was cool, Jamie admitted, his teeth chattering. Let's go. The boss room is next. They moved to the secure elevator at the end of the hall. Ren swiped Bronson's card. Access granted, penthouse. The doors opened. Inside there was no music. No set. Just a mirror on the back wall. Ren looked at himself. He was bleeding from a cut on his cheek. His clothes were torn. He looked old. Jamie rolled in beside him. Ren, Jamie said. When we get up there, what if he has a gun? What if he has an army? He doesn't have an army, Ren said, checking his revolver. If he had an army, he wouldn't be hiding in the sky. Ren spun the cylinder. 2 bullets left. He's alone. Just like us. The elevator rose. It didn't stop until the display read floor 100. The doors opened. They weren't looking at an office. They were looking at a garden. A real garden. On the roof of the world. Grass, real trees, and a glass dome shielding them from the acid rain. And in the center of the garden, sitting on a simple wooden bench, was an old man. He was feeding pigeons. He didn't look like a villain. He looked like a lonely retiree. "Dr. Thorne?" Ren called out. The man didn't turn. He just threw another handful of seeds. "You're late, detective," Thorne said. His voice was the same as the architect's, calm, grandfatherly. "The simulation is already rebooting." Ren stepped out of the elevator, pushing Jamie. "There is no simulation," Ren said. "We deleted it." "You deleted the copy." Thorne stood up, brushing birdseed from his trousers. "Did you really think the code lived on a server?" "The server was just the interface." Thorne tapped his own head. "The code lives in the wetware. In the minds of the people who played it. 1.4 million players. They carry the seed in their memories. And tonight, I'm going to activate it." He pointed to a massive transmission dish on the roof of the dome. "The signal," Thorne smiled. "It doesn't upload them. It overwrites them. It turns their reality into my reality." "You're going to turn them all into NPCs," Jamie whispered, horrified. "I'm going to make them happy," Thorne corrected. "No more pain. No more wheelchairs. No more loss." He looked at Ren. "I can give you your wife back, Ren. I scanned her records. I can reconstruct her. Perfect. Eternal." Ren stopped. The offer hung in the air. A level 100 temptation. Ren looked at the dish. He looked at Thorne. "She wouldn't be real," Ren said quietly. "Does it matter?" Thorne asked. "If you can't tell the difference?" "It matters to me." Ren raised his gun. "Then you are a fool." Thorne pressed a button on a remote in his hand. The garden changed. Holographic projectors hidden in the trees flickered to life. The garden dissolved. They were back in the throne room of the Black Citadel. But this time it wasn't VR. It was augmented reality. Hard light projections overlaid on the physical world. And standing between Ren and Thorne was the Gilded Stalker, a hard light hologram with physical mass fields. "Welcome to the bonus stage," Thorne grinned. The penthouse garden was a battlefield of conflicting realities. To the naked eye, it was a peaceful sanctuary of oak trees and manicured lawns under a glass dome. But through the overlay of the augmented reality projectors, it was the throne room of the Black Citadel. The sky was a burning red code. The trees were pillars of black obsidian. And standing in the center, shimmering with hard light mass, was the Gilded Stalker. It roared, a sound that vibrated Ren's teeth. It wasn't just audio. The hard light projectors were pushing air, creating physical shockwaves. "It has mass," Ren shouted, diving to the side as the Stalker's golden fist smashed a real wooden bench into splinters. "It's not just a hologram. It's force fields." "I know," Jamie yelled from behind a marble planter. "Hard light technology. It's experimental military tech. Thorne must have stolen it from Project Acheron." Thorne stood on the balcony of the garden, or the dais of the throne room, watching them with a serene smile. He held the remote control like a scepter. "You can't fight the code, detective," Thorne's voice boomed from hidden speakers. "In here, I am the physics engine." The Stalker charged. It moved faster than the version in the game. It didn't have to obey server tick rates. It moved at the speed of light processing. Ren rolled, his bad knee screaming. He fired his revolver. Bang. The bullet hit the Stalker's chest. Bing. It bounced off. The hard light shield rippled like water, absorbing the kinetic energy. "Bullets don't work on light," Jamie shouted. "You need to disrupt the frequency." "I left my frequency jammer in my other coat," Ren yelled back, scrambling behind an oak tree. The Stalker swung its arm. The hard light blade sliced through the tree trunk as if it were butter. The real tree toppled, crashing down with a deafening thud. Ren was exposed. The monster loomed over him, raising its blade for the killing stroke. "System, critical threat." Ren hallucinated the warning. The bleeding effect was overlapping with the AR overlay. He couldn't tell what was real anymore. Was he Ren? Or was he V1? No, Ren thought. V1 is dead. I'm Ren. And Ren doesn't have 50 HP. He has one life. He looked around. He needed a weapon. Not a gun. A tool. He saw the sprinkler system heads dotting the lawn. "Jamie?" Ren shouted. "The water. Hard light is photons. Light refracts in water." "Refraction." Jamie's eyes lit up. "If we create a mist, the beam will scatter. It will lose cohesion." "Turn them on." "I can't. The control panel is on the other side of the garden. Near Thorne." Ren looked at Thorne. The old man was 50 meters away, protected by the stalker. I'll draw aggro, Ren said, standing up. You make a run for the panel. Ren, you can't tank that thing. It's a one-shot kill. I'm not going to tank it, Ren said, spinning the cylinder of his revolver. One bullet left. I'm going to kite it. Ren stepped out from behind the fallen tree. Hey, Goldilocks, Ren shouted. The stalker turned. Its blue LED eyes locked onto him. You're just a glorified flashlight. Ren taunted. The monster roared and charged. Ren didn't run away. He ran toward the glass wall of the dome. Target acquired, Thorne muttered, watching from the balcony. Delete him. The stalker closed the distance. Ren was backed against the glass. Behind him, the drop was 100 stories to the street below. The stalker swung its blade. Ren dropped. He didn't dodge left or right. He dropped flat to the ground. The blade passed inches above his head and hit the glass wall. Crack. The reinforced glass spiderwebbed, but it didn't break. The hard light blade bounced off, but the impact shook the frame. Ren rolled away. Now, Jamie? Jamie wheeled his chair out of cover. He pushed his wheels hard, racing across the grass toward the control panel near the balcony. Thorne saw him. No, Thorne said calmly. He pointed the remote. The ground in front of Jamie shifted. Holographic spikes erupted from the grass. Hard light spikes. Jamie swerved, one wheel lifting off the ground. He nearly tipped, but managed to correct. Access denied, Thorne sneered. He pressed another button. A wall of fire, simulated but hot enough to burn, materialized between Jamie and the panel. I can't get through, Jamie yelled. It's a firewall. Literally. Ren scrambled to his feet. The stalker was turning for another pass. Logic, Ren panted. Think like a deaf. How do you bypass a firewall? He looked at the environment. The garden. The trees. The garden hose coiled near the maintenance shed. Jamie? Ren shouted. The hose? Throw it to me. Jamie grabbed the coil of heavy rubber hose and hurled it. Ren caught it. The stalker lunged. Ren didn't run. He turned the nozzle on. A jet of high-pressure water shot out. Ren aimed it, not at the monster but at the projector node hidden in the grass. He had spotted the faint glimmer of the lens. Splash. The water hit the projector. ZZZZZT. Sparks flew. The projector shorted out. The stalker's left arm flickered and vanished. The hard light lost cohesion. It works, Ren yelled. Water kills the code. He sprayed the air. The water droplets hung in the air, creating a mist. As the stalker moved through the mist, its body distorted. The light bent, scattered by the water. The solid gold armor turned into a fuzzy, harmless glow. The monster swung its remaining arm at Ren. It passed right through him like a ghost. It had lost its mass. You're glitching. Ren laughed, a wild, desperate sound. He ran toward Thorne, dragging the hose. Thorne looked panicked. He aimed the remote at Ren. System override. Spawn reinforcements. Nothing happened. The water had shorted the local grid. Ren reached the firewall blocking Jamie. He sprayed it. The fire sputtered and died, revealing the metal emitter plates beneath. Jamie. The panel. Jamie rolled forward. He reached the control panel. He didn't hack it. He smashed the glass cover with a rock and yanked the emergency lever. Emergency system, deluge. Hisses. Every sprinkler in the garden popped up. Rain. Artificial rain fell inside the dome. The effect was catastrophic for the AR system. The water refracted the light everywhere. The stalker dissolved completely. The red skybox vanished. The obsidian pillars faded. The throne room disappeared. They were back in a wet, muddy garden on top of a skyscraper. Thorne stood alone on the balcony, soaking wet, holding a useless plastic remote. He looked small. Pathetic. Ren dropped the hose. He walked toward Thorne. He was limping, bleeding, and soaked, but he looked like a giant. Game over, Ren said. Thorne threw the remote at Ren. It bounced harmlessly off Ren's chest. You ruin everything. Thorne screamed, his voice cracking. I was going to save them. I was going to give them perfection. You were giving them a screensaver, Ren said, stopping in front of him. Life isn't perfect, Thorne. It's messy. It's wet. It hurts. Ren gestured to his own battered body. But it's real. Thorne backed away until he hit the railing. You think you've won? Thorne whispered, his eyes wide with madness. You think stopping the AR matters? He reached into his jacket. Ren raised his revolver. Don't. Thorne pulled out a data drive. It was black, pulsating with a red light. The code, Thorne grinned. The source code for the Grand Ascension. It's not on the server anymore. It's here. In my pocket. He held it over the railing. Below, the city lights twinkled in the abyss. If I drop this, it's gone. But if I plug it into the global broadcast array? He pointed to the massive satellite dish on the roof of the penthouse just above them. I can beam the signal worldwide. I don't need the game. I can overwrite the minds of everyone wearing a Neuralink. All at once. You'll wipe humanity, Jamie said, wheeling up beside Ren. I'll upgrade them, Thorne said. He turned and ran. Not toward the elevator. Toward the maintenance ladder leading up to the dish. He's going for the tower. Ren shouted. I can't follow him up a ladder. Jamie yelled. You don't have to, Ren said. You get to the control room and try to cut the power to the dish. I'll go up. Ren grabbed the ladder. His hands were slippery with rain and blood. His bad leg screamed. He started to climb. Above him, Thorne was scrambling up the metal rungs with the desperate energy of a fanatic. The wind howled around them. They were 100 stories up, climbing a needle in the storm. Ren looked up. The dish loomed overhead, a massive white bowl waiting to scream at the world. Endgame, Ren muttered. Level 3. He climbed into the dark, chasing the man who wanted to be God.